Well, welcome to the Embodied Woman Podcast. Amber, I love this Christmas tree you've got up. I love your shirt. I love the whole
Thank
thing.
you.
You're
Oh,
glowing. You're glowing like your Christmas tree.
I love you. Can I just say, you are so good at. So, we had our last episode was with Alexandra Cole, all about human design. And Travis Day, who's coming on in a little bit, is also an expert in human design. And as a projector, we discovered that I really appreciate recognition. And you do that for me all the time. And I just love that. And I appreciate that. I mean, you really recognize me and thank you. It makes me always feel so special and so good. And I love you. I appreciate that. And yes, I did I got my lights up and I got my decorations. I'm feeling very,
You are
very
so
festive.
so welcome, and it is so easy to recognize you. And you're what's in front of me when I look at my screen, and it's beautiful. So, um, I am excited to continue to learn more about human design from a man. We have
Yeah.
not ever had a man onto the Embodied Woman podcast before. So this is a pioneering moment. And the origination of this idea was when Amber and I had our little mini retreat in Mount Hood Village, Oregon. We were driving back from our little mini retreat and we started talking about the embodied man and what that means and what it means to us and what we feel like an embodied man is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking about the integration, and you were agreeing and saying this as well, the integration of feminine and masculine.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
what else did you maybe want to add to about that conversation about the embodied man? Like, what did you feel like that was? Why was that important for us to bring a man on?
Well, it's important to me because I feel like similarly to what we discussed in the human design conversation, a desire and a curiosity to understand another person, another human. Like, I have a genuine desire to understand men better and the way that they operate. Like Alexander said to us, in terms of human design, like when I'm wanting to support you, I it's best that I don't support you in the way that I think I would like to be supported,
Mm,
but in the way that you need to be supported. And I feel like
right.
I don't totally understand men in the fullest capacity that I want to. And I have a deep curiosity to understand how they feel the most supported and how they feel the most embodied.
Mm.
And um, I know Travis, so I've known Travis for a few years now. And he's one of those, like, just how you and I connected and we were like, oh, we're soul sisters. Like it felt immediately comfortable.
Yeah.
That's how I feel with Travis. Like I feel like he's a
So
soul
how did
brother.
you meet him? Was it
How
a
did I meet him?
class? Were you in a class or a workshop or?
I can't remember if I came to know about him through some other women I know in the South Bay because he lives in my neighborhood. He lives
Oh, okay.
and he frequents Amber Cuddles, the Source Cafe,
Oh,
like
got
I
it.
do. And so it's, and then his friend Isabel Gold, who we might also have on. Um, I think it was just through like mutual friends and also
Yeah.
because he's a human design expert. And so I was like, you know, trying to, I think, find somebody who was local. But yeah, he's just one of those guys that like I immediately felt comfortable with. I immediately felt a connection with. And although I don't spend a lot of time with him, like I just love him. Like
Mm.
he's an easy human to love.
Hmm.
He's also a projector with a three line, as I am.
Oh,
And
okay.
so I feel like like I can see myself in him,
Yeah.
but he's a man. So there's like,
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
Um,
I am very curious about how men operate and the way that they see things and the way that they experience things. And obviously, it's a huge category. Like everyone's different, the way that their love language is and their human design and all these different ways of like understanding each other. But recently, we were talking to a common girlfriend of ours, and she was sharing about relationship stuff. And you and I were reflecting back to her about, oh, well, like we understand your point of view, but we also understand that his point of view. And I feel like
yeah.
this is what we're doing. We're bringing more consciousness to, we are all connected and we are all the same on certain levels, but then we're so different. The way that we process and the way that we see things and and it's just interesting, like what an embodied man is. Like, what does that mean? Because we're, as each guest that we're having on,
Mm-hmm.
we're discovering what each woman experiences as being the embodied woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be really fascinating to
Yeah.
experience, like, well, what does Travis think of as himself as the embodied man? Because I feel like it evolves over time too. Like what we would have said when we were 12 or 15 or 20
Yeah.
or 30, like about being an embodied woman. I mean, first of all, we wouldn't have even known those words.
Yeah. Well, and the whole, like, as you're speaking, I'm thinking about how I'm pretty sure across the board, male, female, whatever, living your most authentic life is embodiment. Like, right?
Mm,
Like embodying your most authentic self,
yes.
your
Yes.
truest self. And so he
Yeah, like
posted
what are those
he posted that.
commonalities of, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But you're right. Like how that's expressed is unique. That's what we've been
Mm,
discovering with each
mhm,
woman that we interview. Like how they feel authentically expressed is unique. And that's what's so
mm.
exciting and fun to learn about. But yeah, Travis has been, I'll read his bio once he gets on, but he's been on this like quest to live his most authentic life for the past 4 years because he, as we all do on some, on some part of our journey, like we realize that we're living completely out of alignment and that it's killing us in
Mhm.
some way. And so that's what happened to him. Like he was trying to live the life that, you know, a man is supposed to live. Like, you know
Right.
what I mean? Like, so yeah, that's another thing that I'm excited to
The
talk to him about.
expectations of
The
men.
expectations that men feel, right? Like,
Oh, that's a
yeah,
lot. Yeah,
it is a lot.
provider, being strong,
Yes.
knowing where to go, what direction things should be going in, like kind of
Yeah.
like you're kind of like expected to just know everything.
Yeah. And also like kind of what we talked about with Alexandra too, like your profile, like the duck that's just gliding, but
Mhm.
underneath, I feel like that might be something that men deal with where they're like,
Yes.
I gotta just show up like I'm like I got it all figured out. But underneath I'm like, I don't
Keep it
know what's
together, keep it
going
together, keep it together.
on. Yeah, yeah. There he is. He's somewhere. He's
Travis.
somewhere across the world. I don't know where he is, but he's somewhere. This is what's so great about Zoom. Like
Yes.
we could talk to somebody who's totally far away somewhere else in the different part of the world. Yeah, he's amazing. You're gonna
Well,
love
we're
him.
about to have someone on from Australia.
Travis. All right, unmute.
I'm in Portugal.
Oh, very cool.
Oh my
Mm.
God. You're my hero. Is this a new tattoo? Or have you always had that?
Oh no, this was my dog Russell. Uh,
Oh, I love
Is
it.
that a golden?
oh, thank you. He's a Jack Russell Terrier.
Oh,
It's hard to
very
see,
sweet.
but
No, it's
yeah,
so
he's a
cute.
little
I've never
scruffy
seen
guy.
that before.
Ah,
Maybe you've
it's
had
funny
your
because
forearms covered when I've seen you before.
yeah, maybe people are starting to notice it a lot more too. It's really interesting.
Is
That
he
is
still
interesting.
alive?
No, he passed away like almost 2 years ago.
Okay.
But I dream about him very
Yeah.
consistently still. Like he's very much with me.
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking good. I like the hair, the
Oh,
stash.
thanks. I
I like
shaved the
it.
mustache today.
Really?
And I hate my friend's like, oh my God, I love it. Like you need to keep it. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like you're joking. And so I was going to keep it today. And then they're like, aren't you doing the podcast? And
I
I'm
love
like, yeah.
it.
They're like, are you going to have the video?
Yes.
So
Yes, you are.
You're rocking
yeah,
it.
yeah.
No, you're so
I'm
rocking it.
yeah, it's different.
It's great.
Well, I
Thank you.
love you. I was telling Siri, like you're one of those people, one of those humans that even though like we don't see each other in person very often, I just feel like a soul connection to you. You're like a soul brother and like I just admire you and I adore you. Travis came to my show and he was just so sweet and so supportive and so loving and but yeah, I'm excited to have you on the show, Travis, because Siri and I we've only had women on the Embodied
Mhm.
Woman
You're the
podcast.
first man.
You're the first man and you're the first man that I thought of because you're just living this most authentic like adventure and it's so admirable and I am excited to share more of it with everybody.
I love you so much.
I
Your
love
one woman show was like the coolest thing I've ever been to. It was incredible. Like yeah, it was such an inspiration, and I'm just like, I don't know how you did it. Honestly, I'm still like, wow, it was really incredible to watch.
Oh,
you. See, I love it when
It,
you just appreciate each other. Isn't that a beautiful thing?
well, and
yes.
I was just like, I was like, I just need to advocate for him, or like, I need to tell everybody, like, everyone needs to go and see this. And it was just such a like the emotion and the authenticity that you took people through was, yeah, it was epic. I feel such a connection with you too. So,
You're
yeah,
my
thanks so
soul
much for
brother.
having me.
Well, we're
Yeah,
both projectors with a three line,
yeah.
so that's we recognize each other, right?
You project to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna read your bio and then we're gonna dive in. And I
Cool.
want to I sometimes we read it before and sometimes we read it during, but I like
Mm.
to read it during because it kind of it's fun to listen to how amazing you are. Okay, here we go. So Travis Day has dedicated the past 4 years to the study and experimentation of the human design system, not for any reason or desired outcome, simply out of raw passion and overwhelming fascination. This incredible information became the catalyst for which he built a new life, an authentic life, an exciting life, an expressive life, a life filled with self love and purpose, a life he never thought possible. Beginning to live as an aligned projector, Travis stopped chasing after what he thought he wanted, and his purpose found him. Ugh. He stopped pretending to be the way society told him to be, and his authentic frequency emerged. In the mirror of the other, he now sees who he truly is, a highly intuitive, natural born guide who attracts powerful beings on the verge of transformation, a teacher, a space holder, a soul activator, a shocking transmitter designed to introduce you to your highest self and support you in living your design. That's one of the best bios I have
Yeah.
I've ever read. I wanted to cry when I read that when you sent it
Uh,
because I think whether you're a man or a woman, what you talked about is what we all crave. Like
mm,
living an authentic life,
mm,
stop trying to live a life that we think we're supposed to live,
mm,
that society tells us that we're supposed to live and like I mean you're just on this adventure. You're just saying yes to the next adventure and your purpose is finding you and it's just such a
mm,
beautiful inspiration. So, uh,
mm.
yeah.
Thank you so much. You read it beautifully. Yeah,
Travis, how do you feel
yeah.
hearing your own bio read out loud? How does that feel?
I can read it and not really feel it. because after I've read it so many times, I kind of like lose the emotion. So hearing it read enthusiastically with emotion and like where where the good parts, like your voice raises yeah, it definitely just hit me in a powerful way, which I think we need a lot of the times. I forget how far I've come. I forget where I've come from. So yeah, that was really special to hear it read. Thank you.
Yay.
Yeah. So I'm curious, what was a catalyst for you, Travis? And we might have touched upon it in your bio, but maybe it's something that's not in your bio. What was a catalyst for you from the beginnings of your life that you were never the same after?
Yeah. Yeah, I was depressed most of my life, um, and did not know I was depressed. I thought that was like a normal way to feel. Um, and where it came from was just this confusion of why does life seem so difficult? Why can't I keep up with the pace of society? Why do I feel awkward in groups? Why can I, not connect with so many people at the same time? Like I just felt very different, and I felt kind of like, you know, yeah, just why is life hard? And it wasn't until a couple of things happened in my life where I started to move away from this life is hard victim to like, oh, maybe it could be better. I remember I was driving one day. I think I was probably 17 or 18 at the time, and I was just like I said, like life was just kind of hard, and I don't know if it was a voice or like a knowing or like a feeling, probably like all three at the same time. I'll never forget this moment. I was on the freeway on the 405 coming back from Santa Monica. I think I was in acting classes at the time. I was driving home, and then that voice or the knowing, it was like, "Why is your life so hard?
Hmm.
What's what's so hard about it?" And I was just like, no one's ever asked me that question before, and it made me really like look back at myself and be like, my life's pretty good.
Hmm.
It's not that hard. I'm really making it hard on myself because I'm trying to fit myself in a box. I'm trying to be someone I'm not. So that was kind of the first moment I'll never forget of some divine intervention where this voice came to me and said, and just asked me a very simple question that made me shift perspective.
Hmm.
I can relate. I
So
can relate
relatable.
so deeply.
Mm,
Yeah, just yeah, like why do I feel sad? Why do I feel disconnected? Why do I feel lonely? Why do I feel like I don't belong? Why does it feel hard? Like, and I
mm,
often couldn't connect it to anything tangible, which
mm,
also like made me feel even more like weird because
mm.
there was nothing I could actually like, you know,
Yeah, it's not logical
connect it
on
Yeah,
to.
paper. Yeah.
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 It's like we're looking for a diagnosis, please.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Siri and I were talking before you hopped on about like why we wanted to have a man on this
Mm,
podcast. And we've been talking to a lot of women about what it means to feel embodied and just kind of like what led us to this point of living an authentic embodied life. and
mm,
and she asked me, she was like, you know why did you want to have a man on the podcast? And I said, I have a deep curiosity to understand men more deeply, and
mm,
I think, yes, we're all souls, we're all having this human experience, and there's a lot of similarities, but I also know that there are a lot of differences. And so I would love to hear how you felt um as a young boy growing up, like in a world that tells boys and men what to be, how to be, and like,
mm,
kind of that journey a little bit. And then,
mm.
what led you to wake up and go, wait a minute, that's not my truth.
Yeah. I was lacking. I think I think it's easy, especially for women, to take a look at like the patriarchy and like what's been going on and how, women have been so repressed in our society and all these different cultures. And I think that some blame can come towards men. And it's like in my view, like men are so wounded in this patriarchal society, just not the same in different ways, but
Yeah.
it's not like young men are thriving, and it's not like these were our ideas, So I think it's we're both like so wounded. Women, it's way easier to see because of the men could seem um like they're earning more money and getting more opportunities and all these things that we think are making us happy. And I think men are really, really unhappy. So for me, it was like literally like 6 months ago, I had a session with a friend. I actually did a plant medicine journey. And I don't know if you guys talk about this on the
We do.
podcast at all.
Yes,
You do?
yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
have.
Like whole episodes dedicated to
Okay.
mushroom journeys. Not on the
Okay.
embodied woman yet, but yeah, on this
Uh,
podcast. Yeah.
But share, please.
Okay. Yeah. So I pretty much this long story short, this I was told like this is your initiation to becoming a man, and you were not a man before this initiation, and I didn't feel like one after I had gone through this experience, and I realized like wow, I had been acting not like a man, but I was never taught um, what that was. So I really think we're missing in our society initiations into becoming a man and becoming a woman and really connecting with the divine masculine and feminine. So I was really shown like how wounded both sides of my lineage are from the female perspective and from the male perspective, and then how it's just this beautiful balance where we're supporting each other and the divine masculine being in support of the feminine and what that does to the feminine. So um, I still am becoming a man, I believe. But there's just a different energy now that I was able to kind of go through this initiation. And I think that's what I was lacking. And I think that's what our culture is lacking is a significant moment or a difficult scenario or situation that you have to go through in order to become anew, in order to step into that type of energy. So I didn't have many male role models in my life. I never talked about my feelings. I knew what a man was supposed to be, initiate with women, walk into a room and hold this presence, and all this stuff that didn't really make sense to me, and never really felt comfortable for me. It actually made me more insecure, I think, when someone told me, this is what a man is supposed to be, and then I felt like I'm lacking in a lot of these qualities. It really kind of ingrained, like, oh, there's something wrong with me, which was like most of my life was trying to figure out what's wrong with me, and it's no tied to human design to be the projector also, but yeah.
It's so interesting the expectations that are put on men. And I think as women, we tend to be so wrapped up in our own feelings and reactions to men that there's not a lot of space given to understanding
Mm,
what it must be like to try to fit those expectations.
mm,
I what you said touches me so deeply, and I'm so excited to have this conversation because I love men. Like I always have. And I think the thing is that I have seen the underneath part. I've seen the wounding, and it's broken my
mm,
heart because I know that that's not the truth. My challenge has been I have not been in relationship with men who are are at a place where they can recognize their own wounds and the protective armor that they have, you know,
yeah.
had to adopt. And
Mm,
so there was never any way to get into the truth. But that's why
yeah.
I want to hear more about this from you
Mm,
because, and other men who are doing the work like you, because I
Mm.
agree with you 100%. Like the way that the systems have been haven't served men or women to
Mm.
Yeah.
be their true
Well,
self.
well, think about like just the realm of spirituality and self-development and looking at, think of like my client base is 80+% women.
Yep.
You know, why is that? It's men are not taught that we're even allowed to go there. Like, don't like
Mm.
that's not masculine to go talk about your feelings or to go open up about your wounding or, you're a victim, you're a soft man. Like, you need to just hold it together and do like all that stuff is so, like, we're so conditioned to that I think so many men have a hard time opening up and actually looking at like, oh, it doesn't matter, if you're a man or a woman. We've all been conditioned. We've all, experienced the wounding of this, this cycle that we've gone through. So I think men need a lot of help and a lot of um, space and a lot of support from women who, have done the work and can see. But it's not, yeah, it's not your obviously your job to change your partner or want to be the savior or help. I think that's probably going to have to come from other men, to hold space for them to open up and do the transformational work.
It makes me think about generational trauma and just about generations of expectations and the molds that, we're breaking now, but
Mm,
also culturally. Like you're in Portugal right now. I
mm,
mean, we're talking from an American, Amber and I are talking from an American perspective. I don't know if there's other cultures where they've had this embodiment of the feminine for
mm.
years and years and years. I mean, do you? I'm not educated in that.
I think the spiritual awakening that's happening right now is worldwide. I think it's reaching all over the place and everywhere I've gone, and I've been traveling so much these last few years. You find communities and pockets of people who are all going through the same thing that we're going through. So I think it's a collective kind of global awakening that's taking place that transcends culture. Um,
Mm, interesting.
So
I think the time is now. Yeah.
The
what is
time is now.
what is the embodied man for you? What does that mean?
I mean, we can talk about like masculine, feminine dynamics. I don't think the embodied man is any different than the embodied woman or the
Okay.
embodied person.
Hmm.
To me, embodiment is like I'm going to 100% authentically be myself, um, love myself, and watch what comes out of me. So it's really been interesting in my journey. I don't think we really, I always tell people like, you don't need help being yourself. You don't need help embodying your frequency. You need help unbecoming parts of yourself that are ruled by fear and are ruled by conditioning and are ruled by all the shit we've gone through in our life. So once you start to deal with that and heal that, who you are, your embodiment just naturally expresses itself. And that's what I've really noticed with me. I am a very confident, competitive man. And I used to think I wasn't. And now that I've done the work to kind of heal and see where I'm out of alignment, this confidence is starting to come out for the first time. Like my competitiveness, I'm accepting it. I'm okay with it, and it's a healthy frequency instead of it being unhealthy. Um, so I know that probably doesn't answer your question, the difference between the man or the embodied man or the embodied woman, but that's I just look at everybody as a complete individual now. Um,
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
that's a perfect answer. And yeah, not so much about comparison, but just what like I guess there's two questions really is what
mm,
is it in general, and then secondly, what is it to you personally as Travis,
mm.
like in this moment? But maybe you already answered that.
Yeah, I uh, the one thing's coming to mind more with masculine and the feminine. I was really shown in that ceremony that I did. I was shown a lot of crazy things, but the last the last piece, it said like you haven't been treating women like women, or you haven't been treating the divine feminine like the divine feminine. And interesting, not interesting, but like pretty awesome. I grew up around so many strong women. Like my family is like very strong, very powerful, very independent women. And even like friends and people in my communities now, like always very strong, powerful women that have surrounded me. And because I wasn't in my masculine, I kind of treated them like, oh, you got it handled. Like, I'll treat you like a man, or like, oh, I don't need to be protective, or I don't need to be soft. Like I just treated them like myself. Like, oh, we're,
Okay.
strong people. So it showed me like, yes, the feminine is so insanely powerful. It has so much strength behind it, but the other flip side of it is this delicacy and this softness and this like, and if you don't treat them that way, if I've been overly sarcastic with women, I've been overly joking with women, or overly like uh um just letting not stepping in when I felt like it, because I'm like, oh no, they can handle it. So it kind of showed me like,
Yes.
you need to treat them softly. You need to like, tone down the sarcasm, and create space where you can see how powerful they are, but at the same time I'm seeing this like very delicate, vulnerable side that can be held by my masculine.
Oh, we want more Travises in the world.
Yes, please.
Oh,
And
that
that
feels.
came from a fucking mushroom, by the way. It wasn't anything I had to do.
Hey, whatever gets you
The
there.
the
Whatever,
wisdom of the plant.
the wisdom, the medicine. I love that so much. So let me ask you this. Okay, so
Yeah.
that was so wonderful as a woman to hear. So
Mm.
as a woman, who might have not treated men in the way that they most would appreciate being treated or seen or held, can you teach us something about the masculine in how, as a woman, we can support the divine masculine?
I love that question.
I'm scared of that question.
I love it.
um,
Only because I really, truly, genuinely have a desire to
yeah.
have better relationships in my life. And yeah.
Yeah. I don't, I'll say some things. I don't know how these will come out.
Great.
Let's just work through it. Let's see what comes out.
Let's think
I
out loud.
think, yeah, okay, yeah, I'm thinking out loud here. Okay. I I heard something a long time ago, back when I was confused about women. I was actually, um, I have so many amazing women in my life, and a lot of them teach the way to love men. And one of the things that they were talking about was like, I don't think women give men an opportunity to be in their masculine very often, because they've been conditioned to be so independent.
Mm.
Um, and the cool analogy I can remember is like in dating. Like, why don't men approach me more? Like, oh, men need to step up and be, whatever. And it's so like it can be so scary from I think from a man's point of view, when women are so in their masculine. It feels like there's no opening. It feels like there's no opportunity to kind of come in and hit on them, or even approach them in a way. So I think there's things that women can do to like soften a little bit and show men, hey, there's an opportunity for you to really bring your masculine into the situation right now, whether it's like even like smiling at somebody, or like a touch. Like there's so many things to do to show men who may not be super confident in their masculine, or even understand what we're talking about, to give them an opportunity to open up and kind of invite it in a
Mm.
by softening a little bit. um that's just one thing that came to mind where I was like, oh, that is so true. Like even if a woman just like looked and smiled at me in like a feminine way, that would signal to me like, ooh, there may be an opening here where I can like, approach, or I can enter into this situation in a more masculine way, instead of like a lot of times like women can seem so um not open, I guess,
Yeah, like
to those
boundaried.
opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I'm not, that seems like, I don't want to seem like I'm making excuses or anything, but I think in this society of needing to be independent, needing to be strong, and needing to take care of yourselves, and it, it can, yeah, leave less opportunity for men to show up in the masculine.
It's so fascinating because I feel like if women felt more safe around men, we would be more welcoming. But I think you probably, Travis, like if anyone just takes 2 seconds to get to know you, they would feel safe.
That's one of the biggest compliments I get from women, is like, I feel so safe around you. You have a calming presence. You're very, but then think about what we just talked about. Like men aren't as open to looking at themselves and doing the healing work. So where are we when the woman needs to feel more safe to open, and the man is so clueless about what that means because he's not available to do the work? Then we're fucked. Then we're just at a standstill.
Yes.
So I really believe like the feminine is so fucking powerful, like so insanely powerful, that if like I've seen so many women do the work around themselves and actually be the invitation for a healthy masculine energy to come in. So yeah, I don't have the answers. That's for sure. But I just see, you can really see where we would get stuck
Yeah. Yeah,
there. Yeah.
for sure.
I think just, the cool thing is like for all of us who are in a place where we're willing to do the work and we're willing to take a look at ourselves, we can have these kinds of conversations that recognize, hey, listen, we've all arrived here because of our past conditioning, because of our past wounding, but we have a desire to love each other in a new way that
Yeah.
we didn't, feel like was possible
Yeah.
before. And so, okay, let me learn about you, and let me be willing to hear things that you're saying, and vice versa. And I think that's when it makes it possible for us to have healthy, loving, intimate, deep connections between men and women, or
I,
men and women and women, or I mean, who,
yeah.
anybody.
Let's get
When I first,
curious.
yeah, when I first started kind of like my spiritual path, I was actually brought into like sacred sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
And I really am a huge advocate, and like we need to heal our sexuality on both sides.
Yes.
And one of the teachings that they taught that just like stuck with me and will never leave me is that men typically lead with desire, their desire for life, their hunger for sexuality, and they withhold most of their feelings,
Mm-hmm.
of like their vulnerability. And women are taught to lead with their feelings and their vulnerability, and actually hide and cover up most of their desires. So we both have both. And
Yes.
then when you try to put a man and woman together, it's like feelings and no feelings, and desire and no desire. And it's like, oh, no wonder it's especially when it comes to relating in our sexuality, we're just way out of balance. So I have an amazing friend of mine named Amy Batuski. Um, her company is called Desire on Fire, and it's really about getting
Ooh.
women in a safe space to unleash their big desires that they have inside, whether it's for relationship or sexuality or career or whatever it is. It's like getting women in a safe space to unlock those desires so that they can live in a more balanced life. And for me, it's been like so much diving into my feelings and learning about emotion and letting my vulnerability come to the surface and having hard conversation So I think that's what's kind of out of balance. And when we can fix that, we can probably come to a much safer place to be ourselves and connect.
That's so
This
good. That's so good. I mean,
You
think,
vibe with that?
oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, Siri and I talk about all the time, like as a woman, all the stories we have around our sexuality and sensuality.
Mm,
And so yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of supporting women to tap into their innate sensuality and sexuality, because it is our life force energy. It is what really like allows the divine feminine to be present. And
yeah.
so what you're saying is if men are willing to, you know, be courageous enough to feel their
Yeah.
feelings and to kind of go there, and then women are encouraged to be, you know, courageous enough to tap in and just like let their own innate sexuality and sensuality um, be expressed, that then we can come together as more full, whole, complete
Mm,
individuals, and then we experience relationship in a different way.
mm.
That's incredible. How I'm so curious to like learn how your human design journey began, and what was the kind of, you know, main catalyst that got you to find that.
Bumble date.
Oh, tell us.
Well, dating apps have been like the most amazing thing in my life.
I love it.
I have the energy of like I can go through very transformative experiences, just like bumping into somebody. Like that's kind of how opportunity can really show up in my life. So I've had some amazing first dates where it wasn't necessarily a love connection, but these opportunities have come in that have completely transformed my life, and I've stayed very close friends with a lot of the women that I've gone on dates with. And so I went on a date, and it was going very well. And I think we were talking about the spirituality in general. And then, yeah, she was into human design. She's like, "Oh, we should look up your human design." I was like, "Yeah, okay, cool. I'm open to that." And she sent me this link that gave me like a little mini report that I could read about myself. And I remember the first paragraph I read was like I got hit with a freight train of truth and like resonance, and I was hooked from that first paragraph, and I never stopped studying. I had never been so seen um, from a random system based on my birth time. Uh, it was like a remembering. It was like I already knew the language of human design. There's no question in my mind that it was meant to be the catalyst for my transformation and self-love and work and ability to help and guide people. So that kind of yeah, it just showed up, bumped into it, and
Bumble.
yeah, Bumble.
I love it. I have not had such great luck on the dating apps, but I'm so happy to hear that you have. It's good to hear.
you got to start asking the men what their human design is, Amber.
I actually did go on a date last night, and he's never heard of human design, so I'm gonna have to get his birth information
Send him the link.
and then call Travis and be like, how does this work? How does this match up, Travis?
So Travis, how has human design informed you to understand yourself better, informed the people you're helping? Get us more into the depths of it.
Yes. So the first thing you'll get is your type. And human design generalizes people into these four different types. And so you can kind of think of type as like a vehicle. There's four different vehicles that you could be riding around in as a human. And we talk about vehicle, it's your body. So we're not um, just our consciousness and our soul and our personality. We also are stuck in this physical form that's taking us through this incarnation. So in human design, you can really see the two different components and how they're meant to kind of work together. And this gives you your type. So when we talk about type, it's like, how does your aura function? like how exactly do people experience your energy? So that's kind of like the first thing that really resonated with me, because as a projector, we have a focused and penetrating aura that works one person at a time. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get into big groups, it's really hard to connect with 6 people at once because we are so focused individually on one person at a time. So that I was like, wow, that's mind blowing. That feels so spot on. Um, so we get these like characteristics about what our aura feels like just based on these kind of these four different types that you can be. So I think there's so much healing and so much insight into uh, how other people feel you, and
Hmm.
how you're meant to kind of attract these opportunities in your life, and what's correct for you. Um,
I love that way of understanding it. That's different. That's like given me a
it's
new level of saturating it into my understanding
mm,
it. Thank you.
yeah, it's so basic at the beginning, and it's so transformative. And when you boil human design down, all it is an experiment in making decisions differently.
Okay.
That's it. It's and that's the most practical application. So we would say in human design that your mind is never supposed to make a decision for yourself. Your mind is here to communicate, to have conversations, to express yourself, to help other people, to inspire. Like it has a million things that it's very good at, but it's not connected to the physical plane in the way that our body is. So, when you get your human design chart, you can see physically in your what we call your body graph, what center, where are you designed to physically make decisions from?
Mm.
And so it's a big misconception, I think, because a man had the revelation and brought human design in the world. It's a very yin system. It's about giving the mind the back seat in your life and bringing back the responsibility to the body to make decisions for you, which could be your emotions, it could be your gut feeling, it could be your intuition. No one ever taught me about my intuition, and that's the center that's supposed to guide me in my life.
Mm.
So if you really want to get out of there's so much information about human design. If you really want to try it, which most people don't because it's scary as hell, you would let the mind do its thing, whatever it wants to do. But when it comes to what am I going to do for my life? What am I going to do for work? Who am I going to be intimate with? Where am I going to live? These major personal questions, that has to come from the body. And the issue becomes, well, my body says yes to moving to Portugal and what becoming a fisherman, and my mind tells me you're fucking crazy. That's weird. You're not going to make any money, and it will come up with a list of a million reasons why you shouldn't do that. So we are so good at overriding our intuition, overriding our body's
Mind over
responses
matter.
with the
Yeah.
with the mind. Yeah. So that's human design at its core. It gives you where you're supposed to make decisions from physically. And when you do that, and when I've done that, my life has just unfolded in the most exciting, fulfilling, successful, amazing, sensational way. And it still doesn't make sense to my mind. My mind's still like, dude, you're fucking doing human design readings. What happened? Like this isn't the way it was supposed to go.
In
And
Portugal
it's
with a
just funny now.
mustache.
Yes.
The mustache may not have been a body decision. We'll wait and see.
I love this so much because you're so true. It's like, and you have to like make friends with, people like Siri and Travis and that are having this, because if you try to have this conversation with somebody else who's not, you know, seeing the world through this lens, it appears that we're crazy. So it's so nice to have conversations where it's like, yeah, of course that's how you make decisions. Of course that's
Yeah.
how you're going to live your life. So this is a question I have for you. So you work
Yeah.
with a ton of people. Um, and then also you have your own personal experience. So give me an example
Mhm.
of, I know there's like living your design and then like your not self theme or
Yeah.
not living your design. So
Mhm.
what is life like
Mhm.
when you're living your design?
Mhm.
And what is life like when you're in resistance to that or trying to
Mhm.
live the life that you think that the world needs you to live, or
Yeah.
purely operating from your mind.
Yeah. So my experience was I'm expending so much energy and I'm getting very little in return. Why is everything hard? Why am I meeting all this resistance? Why is it such an ordeal to make the money or to be successful? When I'm living my design and I'm aligned, things seem to fall into my lap. Things seem to just naturally come to me. There's a different flow that's going on. So I'm expending energy and doing things I like to do, but I'm receiving so much in return.
It's a
And
better
that's kind of been
ROI.
but, oh, completely like on track for especially for a projector, like in the not self, like your body's not going to last long because we are working really, really hard to get scraps, a lot of the time. So to me, it was just getting out of my own way and getting rid of this resistance and letting more flow come in. Um, and then another thing is like, fuck, it's just not going to look like what you thought it was. And I think that's the hardest part for people. I tell people like human design is an invitation to be a weirdo. And if you want to be normal, live the not self life. That's the normal life. And there's a lot of comfort in that because most people are doing that. So we kind of have this collective misery that people share with each other and bond over, and living aligned, we're all unique. That's the one, human design can really show in everyone's chart. We're all so different. So when you really embody that, it's going to look weird. It's going to look different than everybody else. That's a scary thing.
It's going to look weird to the people who are used to you acting a certain way.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it might look crazy, like, for when you really go down that path, especially if you dive in like head first very quickly. Yeah, it's gonna look. People are gonna think like, what's going on over there?
I mean,
But
I've shared
secretly, they're
about
gonna
that.
watch you. Yeah.
Yeah, I've
I'm
shared about that a lot. Like
I'm thinking
people
about
have
you,
said,
Amber.
yeah, like you're having a midlife crisis. I mean, it's in my show, right?
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
I, I, I embody a East Coast guy in my show. He's my
Yes.
ego. And when I first did it for Travis, I think you came over to my house and you did a reading for
Yes,
me.
I did.
And so I started doing this, and he was like, "I didn't even know that. Like that was in you." But yeah, so I have had people say that to me, like, "You're living in La La Land. You're fucking crazy. You're having a midlife
Mm,
crisis. You've joined a cult." I mean,
mm,
all the things that somebody can say to you, because
yeah.
the truth is that it's terrifying for someone who is not at a place in their life where they're willing to take that leap and listen to their body. It
Yeah.
seems crazy. It
Mhm.
seems crazy. And it's so scary because it's like, you can't rely on that. That's not what the world has told us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I
Uh,
think like I want my kids to grow up having a totally different experience than I did, where they're like, yeah, that's how you live. You live by trusting that inner voice and your body,
Mm.
you know. Where do you think people, I mean, because it takes a lot of courage. Why do you think that you have the courage you have? Or where does, to go
Yeah.
on this adventure and to say yes to this?
I hit rock bottom. And that's a very interesting question because I sometimes wonder, you know, if I was like moderately successful, making like a decent income consistently, would I even have tried this?
Mm.
And I will never know the question to that, but I got so lucky because I was dating a girl that was so wrong for me. I had started a business that I was about to launch that was like, I was working 12, 13 hours a day, being the CEO, posting hustle culture memes on my Instagram, like burning the candle at both ends with this huge bullshit pretend person that I had created, who I was. And so I got dumped at the launch of my business that did not go the way I thought it was going to go, and I had medical issues at the time. I had gut issues, skin things going on. I was looking at my computer so much that a blood vessel in my eye finally burst, and I had like this bloody eye. Like I was a fucking nightmare mess, like just a mess. And so it all came crashing down at one moment, and I got to a point, and this forever changed my life. And I wish that this I could just like give to people this feeling of I sat with myself and I thought, if I wind up broke and alone and I'm following what is authentically true for me, that is going to be a better life than if I am a millionaire and I am pretending.
Mm-hmm.
And it hit like and this like I really wish I could get people here because I don't know how I would have gotten there if everything didn't come crashing down at that moment. But I really felt in my cells, I saw myself like homeless on the street and being authentically me, and I was okay. I'm like, this is okay, no big deal, I'm still alive. And that was such a transformative moment in my life, and it gave me the courage to say, what am I doing, fuck it, uh, follow follow what feels right for you now, stop pretending.
Yes, and I hope for our children, hopefully listening to you, because I'm going to play this for my boys. I have an
Mm,
8 and a 10-year-old boys. I hope for them that they don't have to hit rock bottom,
mm.
and Amber, obviously, she has a son and a daughter. Like, we want them to, like you said, to live this way now.
Yeah.
Um, I'm curious for my sons. Like, what would
Mm.
you tell your 8-year-old and your 10-year-old self? What should they know about being authentic, being in their human design, being an embodied young man? What can they start to know or to learn, or what tools would you want them to start to use?
I would just tell myself, you're going to do it different than anyone's ever done it before. Don't let anyone tell you how you're supposed to be. You show us how you are. You show us how, what works for you. um yeah.
Hmm. I see at their age
Mm,
already the way that they're being conditioned by other
mm.
boys and by society, culture, media. I see the challenges that are already there for them. And I hope to give them what you've found.
Mm.
Yeah. It's like ultimate freedom.
Freedom. That's right.
It's freedom. Yeah.
Total freedom.
Well,
I had
I
a
mean, they're so lucky to have you.
yes. It's true.
You
Yeah.
know, like to even be aware of what this is. And I don't know you that well, but I can tell you that having a conversation like this and the way you talk about them, like they're fine. they're gonna, they're gonna be great.
I want
Thank you.
for everyone that's listening, I just want to kind of take a step back and revisit what you just said because you hit a rock bottom. You were, I mean, your body was falling apart. You were experiencing all these really like low, dark moments. And it turns out it was the best thing that ever happened to you. And so I just want to kind of emphasize that because for the people that are listening or watching who are maybe in that really low, dark place, that it could be the best thing that has ever happened to you. And it could be the catalyst that will take you on the adventure of your life. And I had a low like that. And I got to that point where I said, it could be all bullshit, all this new stuff that I'm learning, but I'm willing to take the risk because I can't live a lie anymore. That's too painful. And so for anybody who's in that place where, you know, like in your bio, you said that you are here to support people that are on that like threshold of transformation, right? Like to welcome them in. That's what Siri and I are here to do too. Like welcome them into this new way of being, and just to understand that there are people just like all of us who have had really low lows, and it has been a catalyst that has brought us into this life that is more fulfilling, is more authentic, has, you know, more magic. And doesn't mean there's not still lows and dark places, because that's part of the human experience. But I'm so grateful to have this conversation with you, and that, you know, that you're doing what you're doing. You're just you're such an embodied man. I love it.
Travis, when you notice, like, what's an example of recently where you've noticed that you're out of alignment, you're not following your human design, and then what is that like when you notice that, and then how do you get yourself back to your most embodied Travis?
Oh, there's so many examples. I don't even know where to go. It happens all the time still, you know. That's like the man who brought human design into the world. He has such a good quote, and he was like, I don't understand people that chase happiness. Like if you're chasing happiness, that you know, everything's a duality. So half the time you're not going to be happy. And you're going to spend all of your time trying to be happy, and then when you're happy, you're miserable because you know it's not going to last, and you're going to be happy anymore. So it's like, how do we embody and I would maybe not enjoy, but yeah, we are going to experience, you know, both sides of the coin always. I I find myself getting wrapped up in like still like just insecurity of sharing my authentic self. Like I have hard time going on Instagram and doing a story, you know, just like talking to people. Um, and I really notice like when I'm feeling, it's kind of a hard question because I'll have to explain a tiny bit of human design, but each type that we talked about, we get a not self theme. And this is the theme that shows up in your life when you're not living aligned. So mine is bitterness. Any projector, like I know bitterness so deeply. So when I notice this bitterness coming up, which is like, you know, maybe I'm scrolling too much on Instagram and looking at other people and then feeling bad about myself for not posting enough, or, you know, all the stories that I've created. That bitterness is a signal to that I'm in my mind.
Okay.
And when when everyone's in your mind, you know, it's not, I'm not using my inner authority. I'm not using my body to make decisions. I'm stuck up in my mind. So I'm ruled by my intuition. So what I do in those moments is I get the fuck up and take a walk, like move your body, you know, like if I'm sitting at home trying to figure it out, I'm so in my head. And the second I go outside, there's all these things that your body needs to respond to keep yourself safe. If you're crossing the street, oh, there's a bird that flew by. Oh, there's this. So I really love to get into nature, whether it's surfing, whether it's just being by the ocean and watching the waves. Like anytime I'm too stuck in my head and not feeling great, I just tell people like, you just start walking, go outside. And that's a common misconception in human design, because no, like everyone takes this information like, I don't want to make a mistake with this. We got to do it perfect, which again is it's so mental. So I always tell people like, just start, just go, just move the body, and that you know gets our senses turned on, and we're much more able to, or I'm much more able to then, okay, calm down, sink back in. What am I feeling? Um,
That's excellent.
yeah, sorry, that was kind of
Yes.
like a long wind. I had to find the point.
That was
Perfect.
perfect.
It was perfect. It's a very common theme, I would say, in everybody's answer is one of their you know, embodiment practices is to get into the body,
Yeah.
to reconnect with the body through movement of, you know, whether it's dancing for me or surfing or, you know, breathing or walking. It's a very common answer. So I love that. I love that. Okay, well, I think let's tell people more about how can they work with you, where do they find you, what are you most excited about offering right now with this work? What are you the most excited about, just where you're at right now?
Yeah, I gotta. So I've been on a journey for the last 3 months. I was in Norway for 2 months, and then Copenhagen, and now I find myself here in Portugal, just following the signs. And what I've really been seeing is how obsessed we are with more information,
Mm-hmm.
how obsessed, and I'm really seeing that we have two options when we come to human design, and two options really in any spiritual practice. Like when you're learning something and you touch the essence of a teaching, there's so much unknown and so much fear that comes up because it can be very transformative. So at that moment that you feel like, ooh, a little bit of discomfort, you have two options. One, you say, this is interesting, you label it interesting, and you move on to the next piece of information. Or number two, you sit with that uncomfortable feeling and go into what does it look like if I embody this teaching? What is this going to do for my life? So I'm really noticing in my human design practice, I want to take people way deeper into the very basic knowledge, which is the only knowledge that actually promises transformation in your life. And it's so simple, but it's so terrifying. And so I'm kind of starting from the beginning. I'm going to be going very, very deeply into the very first layers of human design. So I'm going to be, I have courses coming up. I have longer containers. I did a lot of like one-off readings where I'll just do a reading for people, which I'll still do, but I want to work uh, longer,
Mm-hmm.
take them deeper,
Mm-hmm.
bring actual transformation. So this is kind of the direction I'm going. You can find me on Instagram. That's like where I'm starting to post everything. Travis.day is my handle. And from there, I have a link tree and you can find my website and how to book with me and all that good stuff. So, um, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, yeah, thanks.
What were you going to say just now?
I was going to say, I'm so fired up on my new direction. I haven't really explained it yet. This is kind of the first time I'm talking about it. So I'm finding the words, but like I'm really clear on what it's looking like and what we're kind of missing in the human design space. And I'm just really, really excited to kind of start this new chapter with being able to take people through an actual transformative journey by um, staying close to the source and the basic teachings.
Yeah, it's so interesting because we are just starting to we'll get our chart read, but then we don't
Yeah,
necessarily know how to embody the information on a long-term basis.
yeah,
That's so needed. Yeah.
yeah. I think we do. I think we don't want to.
Okay, okay. So you need like
It
the
is,
accountability
yes.
piece.
Yes,
Yeah.
or just support. Like we're here to support
Yep.
each other through.
Yep.
I have a design that was very much like I meant to jump head first and have an initiating experience and be able to come out the other side like I did, like no problem for me. It's very much in my design, and I'm also designed to support people in doing the same thing. So I think we need accountability, we need support, and we need someone who's been through it to say like, hey, it's going to be okay. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be better than you could have ever imagined. Let's try it
Yeah,
instead
like
of
come with me. Yeah.
Come with
yeah,
me.
come on, I'll hold your hand and
Yeah.
give you a nice push when you need it.
Do you think that
Yes.
you have a book in you? Because I'm thinking, the whole like eat, pray, love thing. Like you've got Copenhagen and Portugal, right? Like
I
I'm, I think you got a
think
book.
I do. I think I
Yeah.
do. I've been told I do a couple of times by different people, and I've kind of felt it for a long time. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I've had a
I'm another
wild ride.
person. I'm telling you, I
All
see
right.
that. I see that.
Uh,
I'd like to read that.
thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that feels good.
Well, I'm excited to share you with our
Mm.
audience. I'm excited to keep following
Uh,
you on socials and see your journey because you have a fascinating life. And I'm
uh.
so, this sounds weird, but I'm proud of you. I'm I just
I'm proud of me too.
I just have to say, like, I'm just proud of you for living your most authentic life and how far you've come from where you said you were. It's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. It was meant for me. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say to
that. You said it.
Thank you so much for being, you are our first embodied man on this podcast. And
that's an honor.
And I am so thankful. I think it's the most perfect conversation. It was so beautiful and so powerful and so healing. And I want this conversation to continue. So
it's a beautiful introspection into discovering more about the way men are embodied and the way men see the world, and coupled with the human design aspect is so important. It's so important. Every man needs to listen to this. Every woman needs to listen to this. We want more.
Yes. Yes.
Anytime, I will be back. I could go another couple hours. So thank you so much.
We'll do it again. We'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Travis. We'll wrap up, but you can. You're free to hop off.
You're free to hop up.
We explore.
Love you.
Love you too. Thank you, and I appreciate both of you for doing this and having this conversation. And I'm really excited to watch all of our journeys unfold together. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mwah.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, he's so yummy.
Isn't he just the sweetest? He's just like, I told you, he's just so lovable. He's so easy. We always say that, like, you're so easy to love. He's just so easy to love. I think because he's courageous enough to let people see him.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. Yes. What were you going to say?
That's it. I think. I think that's it. If we as women, as men, as humans, we spend so much time covering up the parts of ourselves that we're afraid to show people because we think that would make us unlovable.
Right.
And we're so afraid to be unlovable, and allowing ourselves to actually be seen and just be real is what people fall in love with.
That's right. I mean, his vulnerability,
it's gorgeous,
is inspiring. It makes you feel more comfortable to be yourself, more at ease within ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting that, the embodied man, it is a more vulnerable man. And also, vulnerability doesn't mean weak.
Right. I mean, because he said that he's finding his authentic confidence and competitiveness in his divine masculine, while simultaneously allowing himself to feel his feelings. Yeah. So it's not an either or. I think that's the misconception that a lot of men have, is that it's either or. You're either going to be this like alpha male that's competitive and tough, or you're going to be this like weak, feel your feelings kind of guy. And it's like, no, how about it's all of it?
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Like, my son is 9 and he can be like a beast on the field. Like, he's, but he's also a very sensitive, loving, kind. And I'm doing my damnedest, Siri. I'm doing my damnedest to make sure that does not get conditioned out of him. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I want him to stay
pure.
Yes, pure. Where he feels like it's safe to feel his feelings, his genuine, authentic feelings, that he doesn't have to, put a mask on.
I mean, it's not just men in society. Like, I see myself doing it too, because I'm uncomfortable sometimes with the expression of my boys' sadness or anger or fear. I'm uncomfortable with the
Mm,
expression of it. So my work is to continue to self-regulate in the face of they're allowed to have all of their vulnerability and all of their fear and all of their sadness and all of their quotes weaknesses,
yeah.
like I think it's that masculine modeling that I adopted from, the lineage of my dad and my dad's dad of like, and even my mom, I think, it's like that kind of thing of like, I can't hold this for, I mean, that's not just boys. I think that's just in general.
Yeah.
But point being is, I'm saying we all can have the opportunity, we all have the opportunity to take responsibility for allowing in the feminine and the masculine, the vulnerable, and making safe space for it and creating the opening for it. And it's okay, like if to give a man a smile and let him feel more comfortable in your presence and let him open up and be his masculine, and like that we can
Yeah.
both like open and soften more on both sides.
I love what he said too, because this is full recognition. And I just honor him for like having this understanding of the divine feminine, recognizing how powerful we are, and also that we're gentle and soft and,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
can need to be um treated as such,
It's okay
you
to
know?
open the door for us. It's okay to take our luggage and put it up overhead when we're on the airplane
Yeah.
struggling. You don't have to be like, "Oh, but she's an embodied woman. She can do it herself." It's okay to help her.
It's funny. I went on that date last night and we went out to dinner, and he's very he's very much of like open the door and
Mhm.
close the door, and I am not totally used to that. And
Mhm.
I let him, but there is a little voice that's like, like, oh, I could get it, but I didn't. I was like, thank you. Thank you. And just like, so I think it's just, yeah, like getting comfortable with allowing men
Yeah.
to step up in that way,
Yeah.
and appreciating it. And it feels nice. Yeah. And even like, paying for dinner, for example, like allowing that and saying like,
Yes.
thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, letting
Yeah.
yourself be taken care of, because there is this thing that only we have really faced in this generation of the expectation of being an independent, strong woman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like, where is this balance of like, yes, I can take care of myself, but also I can allow you to take care of me.
Yeah.
And so, and the other thing is, I just want to say is about when I see that feminine in my husband, to make sure on my part that I am a safe space for him to show that.
Mm-hmm.
So he can
Yeah.
be fully embodied.
Yeah. Yes, because the alternative is not is something that I have experienced. I
Hmm.
have I have been in relationship with men who did not feel safe to allow themselves to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
And that makes it difficult to experience the kind of intimacy that I
Hmm.
think we all really want,
Hmm.
when you're not willing to when you can't be received in that way, and when you're not willing to be seen in that way. Like it leaves a bit of a disconnect in my experience.
Well,
In my
yeah, and
experience.
I do think this is world peace, world healing, the answer to non-violence is because these men that are not fully embodied, that are not allowed to be vulnerable, these are the men that do bad things
There's a lot of rage, a lot of suppressed and
because,
repressed
yeah,
anger and rage. Mm-hmm.
they
Yeah.
don't have the permission within themselves to be soft
Yeah.
for themselves. I mean,
Yes.
this is like a whole series, isn't it? The
I
Embodied
think
Man
so.
series. It really is.
And I love men so much. And I love um I love this conversation.
Me
I love
too.
this conversation because it just, yeah, it's like being recognized and then also recognizing. And I think you and I both, like, we crave like deep connection and intimacy
Yeah.
in our friendships and also in our romantic relationships.
Yeah.
And so that's how we I think that's how we get there, is by having these conversations and by inviting men on to share their experience.
Yes, it's fascinating. I can't wait to hear more from other embodied men.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, so guys, if you have an embodied man that you think should come on to the Embodied Woman, Embodied Man series, let us
Yeah.
know. Let us know. Reach out.
Because we're always looking for some more embodied men.
We want to know you.
We want to know you. Okay.
All right. Love you, Amber.
I love you, Siri.
Love you guys. Thanks
See
for
you next
listening.
time.
We appreciate you.